moving on to wrap the show up here with the tight end position. There's not a lot to dive into. Obviously, the Brock Bowers, where did he land? What are our thoughts about it is probably the most important news, but you already know he's not going to be labeled as a winner, given we only have one winner right now, and that's Ben Sinnott, landing as the second tight end off the board in round 2, pick 53 to the Washington football team. A lot of opportunity. Yes, they signed Zach Ertz, but I'm not sure Zach Ertz is anything but a zombie at this point, just a complete corpse out there. And we've seen Cliff Kingsbury use that tight end and use Zach Ertz over in Arizona at quite a high volume role there. And Ben Sinnott, a 9.76 RAS score, was one of the top 10 tight ends of all time, according to the relative athletic scale there. In fact, Sam Laporta, a 9.01 compared to that 9.76 for Ben Sinnott. I'm not saying that means Ben Sinnott's about to be Sam Laporta, but he did say that's who he likes to model his game after, at the Senior Bowl, while shining at the Senior Bowl as one of the highlight players down there. So I think this is a great spot in terms of draft capital, in terms of that air raid style offense that after Terry McLaurin, I do like Jahan Dotson, but there is certainly some volume up for grabs, and I don't think Zach Ertz is all that concerning to overtake at this stage of their career. So I love this spot for Ben Sinnott. He is up to a fringe top 20 tight end for me in here. He's really the only clear winner. I've got a couple others worth mentioning here, but what are your thoughts on Ben Sinnott landing with Washington, if you have any?
All my Zach Ertz bags are in shambles.
Yeah.
But I did actually have him here and there, just as like a late round stab when I had fully punted on tight ends. But that was actually a tweet from Pat Kerrane over the weekend, poking fun about Zach Ertz. But yeah, I mean, I like him just like just because of the athleticism, the athletic profile. Like, what's not to like about one of the most athletic tight ends that has ever been tested? So you have to like have some sort of like optimism from that regard, just like as a prospect and from his prospect profile. I am not sure if I'm the biggest fan, just like for his, in terms of his year one production, just because like it's kind of been changing over the last couple of years. I mean, we saw Laporta absolutely smash as a rookie, but historically it's been tough for rookie tight ends to succeed. And I don't think that this is an offense that is going to prop up a rookie tight end. I think if anyone is going to be like the more fantasy relevant guys in Washington, I think it'll be Terry McLaurin, and I would bet on Jahan Dotson before I bet on Ben Sinnott. So I think he's like a winner in terms of like coming out with a positive landing spot. Like, it's setting him up for his success down the line. But I am not like super interested in him for the 2024 season. I think that there will be better options within the Washington offense. But I think that, yeah. And moving on to Brock Bowers, just absolutely brutal landing spot. Everyone, not everyone, but a whole lot of people really expected him to go to the Jets at 10. Obviously, that doesn't happen. He ends up in Las Vegas, which is one of the more mind-boggling and bad landing spots, both at the same time. Mind-boggling in the sense that they spent, was it a second-round pick or a first-round pick on Michael Mayer last year?
Second-round pick on him. Yep.
Yeah, so another, like, obviously it's different than a first-round pick, but significant draft capital spent on tight end in 2 consecutive drafts, which is not something that people are accustomed to or would regard as a good way to build a quality football team, especially for the Raiders, who have struggled over the last couple of years. But yeah, it's going to be pretty brutal battling for targets with Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers is not nothing. I'm a Jacoby Myers fan. I mean, he relied a little bit in terms of his fantasy production. He relied pretty heavily on touchdowns last year, but I mean, he's still going to provide legitimate target competition to Brock Bowers. And I still want to bet on him just purely because of the talent. Like you've got there in parentheses, he's still a beast. He's still one of the best tight end prospects of all time, and it's probably the best or the second best of my lifetime that I can remember since like being heavily involved with the world of the NFL. So you still have to be excited about it in that sense. But given that he landed in Las Vegas, his his value, at least his immediate value in his rookie season, is taking a pretty significant hit. Where are you moving him to in your tight end ranks?
Yeah, I actually have him right now. He fell from my tight end 8 to my tight end 11. So still a fringe top 12 guy. That just tells you how much I believe in the player, the talent. And Gardner Minshew, for all his faults, can get the ball. He likes to dink and dunk it. And I think that will yield some nice value here for Brock Bowers in terms of just passing volume. I think he'll be the clear number 2 to Devontae Adams. And I do like Jacoby Myers as well, but that's how highly I think of Brock Bowers. Just more so if he landed in the right spot, let's call it the top 5 picks with the Chargers or with the Jets as the clear number 2 for Aaron Rodgers. I would have had him right there in my top 5, 6 tight ends, even as a rookie. That's how good the player is. So yeah, it was a tough landing spot. I think more so it just absolutely nukes Michael Mayer. And that's too bad because I think he did some really nice things last year, was starting to come into his own. And I was really excited to see what he did in year 2. But ultimately, Brock Bowers is going to be that main man there. And maybe they do get some 2 tight end sets, the Gronk, Aaron Hernandez system that we've never seen recreated. Maybe those will be the 2 guys to pull it off. I doubt it, though. Yeah, it was just not ideal, given that there were some pretty wide open shares he could have landed in. And now he's going to be competing with a high-end capital, one of the best tight end prospects of last year, Michael Mayer. Not where we wanted to see him go. By any means, but still a top 12 tight end because of how just damn talented he is. The only other tight ends I thought worth mentioning here were Jatavian Sanders, who was widely considered the number 2 prospect by most pre-draft pundits. Ultimately fell to he was the 4th tight end off the board, didn't go till round 4, pick 101. But he also does land with the Panthers, who had a wide open tight end target totem pole. Ian Thomas, the only other guy there. So I think Sanders can walk right in, be their lead tight end. But now you also do have a bunch of mouths that have opened up there in Leggett, Deontay Johnson. And then it's a matter of can Bryce Young sustain even one viable fantasy weapon? You got Adam Thielen still lingering around there as well. Never mind potentially the 4th option on the target totem pole, but it's an intriguing big body that was one of the best pass catching prospects, at least at the tight end position for this class. But he also underwhelmed significantly at the combine. And there's a lot of data to show that at least as a rookie to break out, you almost always have to be a freak athlete. And Sanders just was not that in terms of his testing. So I don't love it, but there is a path to him having some value. I am quite intrigued by Theo Johnson going to the Giants right after Jatavian Sanders. He landed there at pick 107 in round 4. And the rumblings are Darren Waller will be retiring. We can't say that with certainty quite yet, but if he does, Theo Johnson could be walking right into the lead tight end role. Speaking of freak athletes, he was the ultimate freak athlete. The tight end 3 on Dane Brugler's big board as well. An even better RAS score than we saw from Ben Sinnott that I was already raving about. Theo Johnson was like a 9.89 RAS score. So ultimately, I think he's got some freakish abilities. And if Darren Waller's gone, we already know, Neighbors is going to hog a ton of volume, but there's just not a whole lot else on that team. I'd be stunned if he did a ton in year 1, but I just don't know that there's anybody else even to shout out here at the tight end position. So if Waller's gone, maybe Theo Johnson. I love Brugler, and if he thinks this highly of him to think of him as a round 2 to 3 guy, and they got him in round 4, hey, it's something I'm at least worth noting in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, neither of these guys are really moving the needle for me. I liked Jatavian Sanders early in these pre-draft drafts, but he lands in a less than ideal landing spot in Carolina. Just like it's crowded. It's not like super talented in terms of the pass catchers in Carolina, but it's crowded. So it's kind of tough for us to project any sort of reliable role for Sanders in year 1. But Theo Johnson, it'll come down if Waller retires. If Waller retires, I can see myself grabbing Theo Johnson a ton late in drafts where I just punt tight end, but he will not be someone on the radar until if and when Waller retires. But I think that's kind of like you said, the last 2 tight ends of note, not a huge tight end draft. So
what is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.